Good day, my name is Millet Murray. I'm the Corporate Relations Manager for the Cancer Association of South Africa. And we are hosting a Cuppa for Cancer. Thank you to Five Roses Tea, who's been the sponsor for our Cuppa for Cancer. And I have the absolute honor and privilege to have the beautiful Roseanne McKenzie with me today as the MC for this Cuppa for Cancer. Roseanne McKenzie is a household name. She's a well-known TV personality, an actress, has her own company. So without any further ado, we can continue, and Roseanne will take you through the program for today.
Minik, thank you so much for the lovely intro. What do they say in Afrikaans? Gevleelde woorde. So thank you very, very much for having me. So the Cuppa for Cancer it's such an important part of what cancer does every year in terms of the campaigns and the promotions that you run. And everybody knows a Cuppa because it's such a great way of kind of getting people together to celebrate life or to celebrate the life of someone who maybe didn't survive their battle with cancer. So it's always great to be able to do that. And we wouldn't be able to do that today without the wonderful support of Five Roses Tea. So we've got to obviously say a big thank you to our sponsor, Five Roses Tea. You know what, Minik, I didn't know that cancer had such a strong advocacy role to play in South African society. We just think cancer helps the people on the ground level that are dealing with the illness. So you don't think that they actually are that kind of watchdog making sure that our rights or the rights of cancer patients are being protected at the highest level of government.
Absolutely, you know, and we look out for the public, and when there's problems at any of the hospitals, people report it, we pick it up in the media, and CANSA is the organization that actually goes and fights with the local governments and government to make sure that everything is in place. You know, people always think a provincial hospital is not the ideal place to go to, but I always say to people as well, if you go to Steve Biko Hospital in Pretoria, especially the children's ward, I mean, it is fantastic treatment you get there. You get the best treatment of what you can wish for. You know, so you don't always have to go to a private hospital. You can go to public hospitals because cancer is there to look after you.
It's time to hear from Zodwa Sithole, who is the head of advocacy for cancer.
Hello everyone, my name is Mandi Samtembu. I'm the Care Home Coordinator at CANSA Mkhutla Care Home in Durban. I have the pleasure today to be joined by the Head of Advocacy at the Cancer Association, Zodwa Sithole. She's going to tell us a bit more about how advocacy plays a role in cancer patients. Zodwa, welcome.
Thank you, Mandisa, for that introduction. Cancer Association of South Africa has made advocacy a key priority of the organization to address cancer issues. Actually, we are serving the cancer patients and their families. That's our main role. We are the voice of the voiceless. You know, when patients have been diagnosed with cancer, it's just overwhelming for them and their families. You know that journey of traveling when we are getting the cancer treatment. So that's why I'm saying with the voice of the voiceless patient, they cannot advocate for themselves. And we as a cancer, we are saying no person or patient affected by cancer should be denied of regular education on cancer, screening, and early diagnosis, access and availability to care and palliative care, regardless of their geographical location, their financial status, or level of their education. There are two kinds of advocacy. We've got advocacy geared towards the public, that's education and raising awareness.
Yes.
Activities include educating the public about cancer risk, how to reduce, those risks, like use of tobacco, protection of your skin from sun, eating healthy, physical exercises, And HPV immunization for young girls between 9 and 13, those are the things which we advocate, with the public. Again, information of cancer screening and early detection. Lastly, is information on availability and access to treatment and palliative care. Those are the things which will really raise awareness outside to the community, because some of the people, they don't know that these are available for them. The second advocacy is advocacy geared towards politicians and decision makers. That's lobbying. Advocacy has a role to play in bringing public concern and to the decision makers. It's so important to take things which are happening at the grassroots level and make the decision makers aware of those issues.
I am so proud of all the advocacy support services that we as the Cancer Association are offering to communities and patients as staff members and volunteers out in communities and on the ground. So Zodwa, how do people get a hold of us?
You can send us an email at advocacy@cansa.org.za or call us at a toll-free number 0800 22 6622.
It is vital for cancer patients and communities to know that they don't have to walk this journey alone.
Thank you for joining us. Five Roses has been a proud partner for the past 3 years of Cuppa for Cancer, and tea is such an important thing that connects us and it calms us and it makes us feel better. So I think this kind of saying, I always forget the English word, but this kind of just connecting and being together is really great, and tea makes that even better. So up next we will be speaking to the Five Roses Tea Master. He is in fact the 6th Five Roses Tea Master. Try and say that without getting confused. And his name is Dinesh Vijayawardena, and he's going to tell us a bit more about his relationship with tea. Dinesh, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today? And can you start at the beginning? Can you tell us a bit about your journey with tea and your history with this wonderful product?
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I am Dinesh Vijayawardena. I am the tea master at Five Roses. I've been at Five Roses for 20 years now. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, and I have been in the tea trade for 36 years. My passion for tea started when I was very small. My father was a tea taster, and a few of my uncles were tea tasters and tea planters. So I guess I have been around people who have been talking about tea, and I guess this is where my passion started.
When we talk about tea, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, so tea currently is a word that is very loosely used. It will be referred to as rooibos tea or herbal teas or fruit teas and detox teas, but tea is actually from the plant Camellia sinensis. So your black tea, your green teas, your oolong, your matcha, all of that comes from this one amazing plant called Camellia sinensis. It was first discovered over 5,000 years ago in China by the Emperor Shenyang. And since then, it has just grown to a trade that produces and drinks more than 4 billion kilos of tea annually. It's also probably the most drunk beverage next to water worldwide. So tea comes from 30 plus different origins, and once a tea plant is grown, which takes roughly about 4 years, it will stay on the ground for 100 years plus. So it's a very versatile and strong plant. You can also harvest tea every 7 to 14 days, and you harvest the top leaves and the bud, which is the succulent part of a tea bush. and this is what brings you the qualities and the intrinsic qualities of tea.
I love tea because of its taste, but can you tell us about the health benefits of tea, especially rooibos?
So starting off with rooibos, yes, rooibos is good for you, but again, rooibos is not a tea, it is rooibos, and it's a proudly South African beverage grown in the Western Cape mainly. It has a lot of health benefits, and I think as South Africans who have grown up with the product, their parents, their grandparents would have through the ages given a lot of insight into the goodness of rooibos. Black tea and green tea or Camellia sinensis is the same. It's an extremely healthy beverage. It has a lot of antioxidants in it that fight your free radicals and take toxins out of your bloodstream. It has a lot of calcium that help. It's good for your digestion. There are numerous medicinal goodness in tea, and which also has been handed down through the generations and widely used in many countries.
You are the tea master, so I would be wasting an opportunity not to ask you, how does one make the perfect cup of tea?
I drink tea in various ways. I have tea with milk, I have tea plain, and I also drink green tea. So in a day I would probably drinking 4 to 6 cups of tea. That would be my daily intake. Whatever tea you drink, to make a good cup of tea, first thing is that you need to buy a good quality tea. You just cannot make a good cup of tea buying a poor quality tea. The second thing is that you need freshly boiled water. And why we say freshly boiled is that the more you boil water, it takes the oxygen out, which is needed to make that brisk quality tea. And then you have the measurement. You need 2.5 grams of tea in 200 ml of water to make the correct measurement for tea. So basically, the brewing is the next step. You need to brew your tea for between 3 and 5 minutes. And again, why we say this is tea is a complex beverage, as mentioned previously, has all this goodness, and you need to let it steep in the water for a minimum of 3 minutes to draw all the goodness out of it. On the other side, if you keep it for too long, you're going to draw some bitterness out of it, which comes from the tannins in the tea. It's not harmful for you. Tea is not toxic. It's an absolutely natural product with no preservatives used. But people do complain that their tea was bitter, and that could be one of the reasons over brewing a tea. And then after that, it's your tea. You know how you want it. So if you want to put some milk into it, if you want to put some lemon into it or honey, that's up to you. It's you and your tea.
Thanks very much, Dinesh.
Thank you for having me.
Manik, cancer is something that I think everyone has, someone that they know or a friend of a friend. It affects us all.
Absolutely. You know, the fact is the stats are 1 in 4 South Africans are affected by cancer. And, you know, breast cancer is so real. And we just encourage ladies to, or people in general, because men also are affected by breast cancer, to go for their annual checkup. You know, so because early diagnosis is what we look out for. So with the Cuppa for Cancer, we just create a bigger awareness, and we encourage people to host a Cuppa and actually speak about cancer, because it does affect everybody, all religions, all races, all ages. There's nobody excluded from cancer.
Yeah, and now especially with the social distancing and the situation that we find ourselves in, people can't really get together, or you maybe don't have the funds to just do a Cuppa that's going to host a whole bunch of people, but you can do a virtual Cuppa, and all of that information, of course, is on the Five Roses Facebook page about how you can host a Cuppa of your own, even if it's just you and your husband or you and someone else. It makes a difference. The smallest little amount of, whether it's your donation, whether you buy one of the mugs that are available online, it's so important that we all know that there's no contribution that's too small.
Absolutely. You know, people often say to me when they give a donation, oh, it's so small. But nothing is too small.
Yeah.
Every bit fills the pot at the end of the day. So that's what's important. So to host a Cuppa at your house virtually, whether you're one or two people, just you and your partner. I mean, as you and I had fun today, just the two of us, with something sweet to eat, something nice to drink. And we encourage people to actually go to the Facebook and check it out and actually host this. And through this, we create more and more awareness.
And what I've now seen over the 3 virtual Cuppas that we've had, it's like the tea helps us to chat and it gets us to open up and share. It's just, again, that feeling of Sama saying, and you're sharing humanity almost with someone else.
Absolutely. So from my side, I'd just like to thank you for being an ambassador for CANSA and for speaking to the women out there and the people, to look after their health in general, because breast cancer is very prominent, but the bigger picture is women's health is what we're looking at.
You know what? You've thanked me for sharing, but I don't think you know this, but I have a story that I have to share with you. So in 2011, my mom, who lives in the UK, and it's always just been me and her, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was picked up early, and she got all of her treatment there, and it was the first time that cancer was the second time that cancer was so close to me, because I lost my granddad to it as well. So when I was asked to speak at the Rooirosa Cancer Fair in 2013, it was the first time that I'd shared that story, because I hadn't told anyone. I hadn't told my friends. Because I was so scared, and but when I was able to speak about it, and when I was able to share it in a room full of men and women who were celebrating life and celebrating the people that had maybe passed, or celebrating that they had survived something as life-changing as this life-threatening disease, it made me feel lighter. It made me feel that sense of Sama saying, and it made me really feel like I wasn't alone. So that's why whenever cancer comes knocking at my door, I am ready to say yes. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when. I absolutely adore working with this organization, because you save lives and you change lives.
Thank you very much, and we really appreciate it, because often people think of breast cancer and cancer in general, but when you speak to people like yourself that is a public figure and a celebrity, people just listen more, because when the normal public would speak to each other, they listen but they don't go. But when the celebrity actually says, but please go for your annual test, or I was affected by cancer, then people sort of do listen more. So thank you very much once again for being part of CANSA.
We are so excited to introduce our next speaker. He is a national treasure. He's known for cooking locally and overseas. He's prone to popping over to France to go and shoot his TV show there. And he's also a wonderful storyteller. I think everyone knows that I'm talking about the one and only Kaalkop Nathaniel. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
My name is Nathaniel, and I do apologize for joining you from such a hideous space. But change is as good as tea, and today of all days, my studio after many years is moving to a new location. This black wall is all that is left. But I am in spirit with you. Tea is a great part of my life. I love tea. It's my drink. Since I stopped drinking, I drink tea. But tea as an event each day is a huge thing. And in many countries, tea means something else. If you, in England, say, are you coming for tea? That means supper. And then you get a morning tea, and you get a late morning tea, and you get an afternoon tea, and you get a high tea, which is an early supper. and that you get before dinner. But tea is the time of the day where you relax, where you breathe, where you celebrate something, an event, a birthday, anything, where there's something more than tea. It doesn't always have to be something, but sometimes it's a little cake or a little biscuit or a little something. Sometimes it's formal, it's an event. I have friends, we do a high tea every 2 months, which is like at 5 o'clock. It's a fantastic time of the day to do something, because you do not have to have dinner later. You can go home and not worry about alcohol in your system, because there's no alcohol at a tea. It is a great ritual to say that this is not just another ordinary day. This is an event every day of my life. Everything has a history, and when you understand the history of something, you enjoy it more. A lot of people do not understand the concept of tea yet, and I always get invitations for a high tea, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's a morning tea. High tea is an early supper. For those who don't know, in the old days, when the porcelain was thin and when they started having lots of servants and stuff, pre-Victorian and Victorian and after, they had rituals, and the men would go after work or their meetings. Many of the noblemen did not work, but they would go to a gentleman's club, and then they would have a light supper, and then they would come home or meet the wife in her carriage at the opera. They called everything the opera. No matter where you went, we're going to the opera, or a play or something. And then at 11 o'clock at night was supper. A lot of the people, because they ate so late and cared so late, that's not a word, but it's my word, they got up at 10 or 11, and then it's the hair and the corset and everything. So they had a very late breakfast, no lunch. And then the women would faint by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they started high tea. It was leftovers from the previous night's supper, cold meats, little sandwiches, cakes, stuff, but it was substantial. And then they would go to the opera, and then they would come back for the formal dinner. That's where high tea comes from. But today, it could be anything. It could be just an event. It could be a phone call under these circumstances. I have an actress friend. She sends an SMS and says tea, and then 10 minutes later, we have tea on the phone for half an hour, or no tea, but we call it tea. My oma het die gewoonte van tea gevat en 'n hoogtepunt gemaak. Sy het nooit in haar lewe iemand genooi nie. Haar voordeur was altyd oop, asof daar nie inbrekers was nie, en almal het ingestap in Wellington. En vir haar was dit 'n event wanneer daar meer as 4 mense is. 2 of 3 tee gedrink. 4, daar kom die blikke uit, daai koekblikke wat sulke ligte turquoise en creamstrepe gehad het. En gisteraand as nog 'n patat, 'n kreefstert, alles is op die tafel. Ons is in die kombuis. Daar's 'n overflow na die dining room toe, wat presies 'n meter van die kombuis af is. En dan was dit 'n event, dit was die hoogtepunt van die dag. Dan het ons gekuier, groot gegaan, sy en die hele dorp en al die mense. Tee is ook 'n fantastiese tyd om 'n geskenkie te vat as jy na iemand toe gaan. Iets wat nie opwindend genoeg is vir 'n verjaarsdag of Kersfees nie, maar net 'n klein geskenkie. Tee is een van die min geleenthede wat jy met 'n eetdrank by iemand kan opdaag. Daar is ook meer formele goed vandag gedoen is dit af en toe. Dis 'n belangrike seremonie, dis 'n ritueel as jy vir iemand nooi. Tradisioneel in die ou tyd met die geskiedenis was daar sekere kosse. Daar was altyd iets wat gebaseer was in vanilla. Vir tee was daar ander eetgoed as vir cocktails. Cocktails is vleis en sausages en pastytjies en so goed. Vir tee is dit gebak, terwyl daar ander goeders en kaas is ook vir cocktails, maar vir tee is dit gebakte goed. En ek het 'n arsenaal, al het ek niemand vir tee nie. Ek het my vintage tea party boek. Hierdie verduidelik die hele geskiedenis en gee idees. Ek het hom altyd by my. En ek lees hom 1 keer 'n week, gaan ek teen my teeboek. En dan, as jy tee het, moet jy altyd nuwe tee hê. So hierso is die China teeboek, is meestal oor green teas en die goed. Hier is meestal oor die wêreld se swart tees. Jy drink jou rooibos en jy drink jou Engelse tee en jy drink jou green tea, maar jy moet altyd 'n nuwe tee introduce. En dan het jy inligting vir jou gaste. Dis ook wyn, jy kan hulle nie snap nie. Dan, my gunsteling, daar's een ding uit vanilla. So ek het my vanilla boek. Hier is my favorite vanilla boek met allerhande kosse, savory en sweet en vanilla. tradisioneel met 'n tee is daar 4 goed. Vir 2 mense is daar 2 goed. Daar's 'n gebak, dit ding soos 'n koek, en dan is daar iets met die hand, 'n koekie of 'n beskuitjie of iets. Maar as dit meer formeel is, dan gaan jy na die een ding is vanilla gebaseer en een ding is sjokolade gebaseer. Hierdie is my chocolate Bible. Hy het alles op aarde met sjokolade in. Daar's altyd 'n sjokolade-based ding by 'n tee. Dan is daar vars blomme. Daar's 'n mooi tafel, maar nie doodmaak nie. Dis die wonderlike ding van 'n tee, jy doen alles vir die tyd. Daar's geen spanning as hulle opdaag nie. En daar's geen alkohol by 'n tee tradisioneel nie, want ons nasie kan nie meer 'n show kyk, ons kan nie meer kuier, ons kan niks doen sonder om te drink nie. Ons glo niks is goed genoeg vir nigterie. Tee is 'n fantastiese ding. Dan het ek 'n boek oor toast en ek het 'n boek oor panini en crostini. Sulke boeke wys vir my vervulsels of toppings of enige goed. Maar ek lees vir my in die bed, ek gaan nie met hom kook nie, dit maak my net opgewonde. En dan terte, dis nie jou gaste nie, dis terte wat jy maak met 'n kors. Beautiful goed, die formele vorm van goedjies en die informele goedjies. Dis 'n baie opwindende ding om dit gereeld te doen. Klein, alleen, elke dag. Bietjie groter, 1 keer 'n week. Storieetjie 1 keer 'n maand. Verskriklike storie elke 3 maande. Dan gooi jy die blomme en die dinge en die so. En hy kan loop in die aand en dan is almal loop. Dan so stop die venter altyd vir gesê, Nathaniel, tee. En dan gooi ons wit wyn in baie fyn koppies. En dan drink ons dit. Dit is 'n ding wat nooit sal weggaan nie. Dis bekostigbaar, dis altyd beskikbaar en jy het nie spesiale plek daarvoor nie. Enige tyd, ons weet nie wat ons toekoms is nie. Ons kan dalk net oor die foon kuier op Skype. Tee is die antwoord. Ek hoop daar's regtig tee en blomme en tafeldoeke en beautiful servette waar almal nou is.
So, Minik, if you had a message that you would like to give out on behalf of CANSA to the general public about well-being and about how to help with cancer's causes and everything that you guys do, what would you say? What would your message be?
Thank you very much for that question, because CANSA as an organization is one of the oldest charities in South Africa, and we are there for the public of South Africa, and we are there for all public of South Africa. So my message is really go for your annual test, look after your health, live a healthy lifestyle, and just look after yourself and look out for each other. If you forget to go for your annual test, you do it for your partner. Yeah, because I often say to people, if you would pass away, remember the one that's staying behind. There's somebody else. So do look after and out for each other. That's really my message. And remind each other to go for your test and go together.
Yeah.
To see your doctor. That's really my message.
My message is we need to drink some 5 Roses tea now. Thank you so much for that.
And that's going to you drink milk. No, you don't.
I don't drink milk. I like my tea plain.
The tea master said milk.
The tea master did say milk, so I think he's not going to be very impressed with me, but I think he will be actually happy with me because I'm drinking 5 Roses, so I can actually taste every flavor in the tea. That's my excuse for not drinking milk.
And maybe just a message to the people out there to host a Cuppa for Cancer. For this Cuppa, we actually took out a tea set that was a gift to my mother on her wedding, which was almost like 80, 90 years back. And we took it out, dusted it off, and we're having tea today out of a very old tea set.
I just want to say that I'm feeling extremely pressured right now, and this cup is getting more and more delicate in my hands. Dit is 'n groot eer, baie dankie. Minik se mamma.
Dis sy.
Pos my bordjie. Ordentlik. We don't really get a chance to have a tea party.
Yeah, and we can just have a tea party with sandwiches.
Exactly. Sandwiches and a good old cup of 5 Roses.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for this wonderful journey and taking me along.
Thank you.
It's now time for us to enjoy some entertainment in the form of a video from Daniel Barron featuring the Learn to Fly Enrichment Ballerinas, which is an NPO which was founded by Claire Gardner, who is a former Mrs. South Africa charity, and she's also the patron of this organization. Please tell me if you've ever seen anything cuter than these little girls you're about to see on the video. Sure, I feel like I'm under so much pressure drinking out of this very dainty little teacup. Maybe I must drink out of one of the CANSA mugs.
Well, that's a good idea. CANSA had this year had these beautiful mugs. It's a series of 4. Life is the one, and love is the next one on this side. And then we have a third one, which means it's laugh, which is beautiful. And that's good therapy as well. And then the last one is live. So there's a series of 4 cups at 55 Rand a cup. And every cup comes with a sachet of 5 roses tea. And you can purchase this online or at a CANSA office. Or just phone CANSA or go to the website. Make sure we'll make a plan to get the cups to you. And would you like this cup?
I would.
And rather we pour the tea into this cup instead of the
It would make me feel way more comfortable. But I was just going to say that this is such a beautiful way to be able to still donate 55 Rand, and you've got this beautiful cup that gives you a really great life lesson in a very simple word, and it's got sparkles on it and just kind of makes you feel a little bit uplifted, and it makes you feel like a cup of tea hugging you from the inside. You know, so great.
Yeah.
Minik, I've got to say a big thank you to you for having me. Obviously, we've got to say a big, huge thank you to 5 Roses, the official partner of the Cuppa for Cancer for the past 3 years, without whom none of this would have been possible. We've now done 3 virtual Cuppa for Cancers, and they've been absolutely pleasurable. We've enjoyed every moment of it, learning from our speakers, getting entertained by all the wonderful guests we've had on to provide entertainment, and it's really been a great road ahead, and I can't say that I have been ever more thrilled to work with an organization that does such special work. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for watching, for donating, for participating. We couldn't have done this without you. From me, Roseanne McKenzie, till next year, hopefully, I'll see some of you maybe in real life, face to face without the computer screen and the distance in between. Till then, goodbye.